So, good evening, one and all. Welcome to one another session of Crossword and Penguin hosting live. So, today, it's a privilege to launch the book of Tushar Kapoor's self written book. He's the first Indian dad, through surrogacy. And the name of the book is Bachelor Dad. And to introduce or to be in conversation, we have none other than the Union Minister, Smriti Irani ji. So, good evening, and I would really like to welcome Smriti ji. So, I would request Smriti ji to be on screen. So, very good evening, ma'am. And
Namaste,
Namaste. So, Smriti ji, she needs no introduction, uh, but in a brief, like we have always seen her through the television world, she is, through
Harshil, you
her.
sound nervous. Let me take over. Introduce Tushar.
Yeah, sure. No, no, that's not. So she's the Union Minister for Child and Women in India, and I had the privilege to listen live to her in one of the Retail Association India's conference in Powai. So it was a mesmerizing conversation with the retail associates. So welcome once again, Smriti ji, and it's an honor to have you. And I would really like to also introduce Tushar. And Tushar, we have known him for his work, and today we are here to discuss about his first work in writing, that is Bachelor Dad, wherein his journey with Laksh. And I would now request Smriti ji to take the conversation ahead with Tushar. So thank you, and once again, pleasure to have you on Crossword and behalf of Penguin as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Harshil. Tushar, Harshil was very, very nervous when he was introducing me. He followed the right protocols, introduced me as minister. But we both know I'm not here by the virtue of being a minister. I'm here because we've shared family values and a history as colleagues, but as the brother of a colleague, and who now I call one of my closest friends. So, welcome to a conversation which will not be comfortable at all. For me and for everybody who's tuned in, I would like to tell you that this is the first time in over the 2 decades that I have known Tushar Kapoor, and it's been a privilege that he will speak. Normally, you see him quietly wandering about. So, this, Tushar, is your book. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
The
And
first
thank you
question
so
I
much for
have
being
for
here.
you, the first question I have for you, you are an extremely private individual. Like I
Yes.
said, in 2 decades, I have never heard you speak more than 5 minutes? How does somebody so private write a book about his life?
I think the question itself has the answer because I'm a very private person and because I don't really aggressively, being a personality in Bollywood, I don't aggressively promote myself. I don't do too much marketing. So owing to that, I think sometimes a lot of things get lost in translation, especially where, things are concerning my family. Like now, my family is a single dad. Sometimes my work also. So after being a dad for 5 years and I've promoted movies along the way also and given interviews regarding my status as a single parent and how did that happen and how is it with Laksh and what is it like being a father, blah, blah, blah. But however, sometimes, there's always something that really gets lost in translation and there's miscommunication. So being that little bit of an introvert, I think that is not very handy at all times. So I thought at one point of time that why not write a book and really talk about my journey, talk about the experience of becoming a single father. How did it happen, and why did it happen, and what is life like that after it happened, after my son came into my arms? And that will probably really answer everyone's questions. That will probably really be about sharing my experience honestly with the world. So there won't be anything getting lost in translation. It will become a kind of really personal and honest account coming in front of people. So that was the main reason why this introvert had to be this extrovert who wrote this book. And I think all Scorpios are like that. I've read somewhere that Scorpios are mainly people who are introverted, but who can do things that are quite extroverted. So maybe I had to explore that side of me to really get
Yeah,
that
I'm
voice out,
married
as
to
you said.
one. I'm married to one, so and a mother to one, so I would know that. But tell me
Oh
something.
wow.
You're happy to call yourself the bachelor dad. You were equally at ease when people called you the celebrity brother. You were as much at ease when they called you the son of a legend. Is it comfortable for Tushar Kapoor to be always be known by his relationships? Or would Tushar Kapoor want to just be known for himself?
Oh, of course, like any human being, I would always want to be known for myself. And not that it mattered to me if there were sections in the media and sections in my fraternity who probably kind of laid this baggage of expectation around me whenever I came into the when I came into the limelight, and many times after that. But I look at that as, because I'm a practicing Buddhist, I look at this kind of subtle adversity as an opportunity. So that has really driven me to thrust out a strong identity through my work every now and that has really kept me going. शायद ये मतलब शायद ये expectations या फिर ये जो कि कहते हैं ना कि आपके नाम के साथ ये जुड़ जाता है हमेशा. If these things hadn't been there, probably I wouldn't have written this book also. So it's kept me alive, in fact. So I don't have a problem with it. I'm okay with whatever the perceptions are. I want to be the way I am. I want to be this person who takes on the challenge every now and then.
Now, you say that you're a practicing Buddhist. Many people know your sister, your father, your parents, Shobhaji, everybody celebrating every Hindu festival. Who would have thought that Tushar Kapoor practices Buddhism? And there are many such facets about you that people actually never have spoken of, or for that matter, known. This book opens up a facet of your life, which I find fascinating, the aspect where you go overseas and become a financial analyst.
Yes, yes,
So,
yes. I
what has been that transition like? I mean, you must have been surrounded with people with expectations that you'll be a part of the industry. And here there is this child who chooses financial education and then wants to work as a financial professional.
Yeah, at that point of time, I won't say I had a lot of clarity. Actually, becoming a financial analyst was actually because I was quite confused about what I wanted to do for my career. So the obvious choice was getting into finance because I was very good at maths and I was a numbers person as a student. And little did I know that doing well in school with numbers is very different from really enjoying the corporate world. So when I went to business school in the US, I did very well there academically, but I realized that this is not my personality. So through selection by elimination, I figured out that अभी ये नहीं करना है, investment banking नहीं करनी है, financial analyst का role एक साल के लिए work experience के लिए तो निभा लिया, लेकिन अब कुछ करना है जो मेरा दिल चाहता है. And I realized that creativity is probably what is drawing me towards it. Little did I know that it would be, whether it would be production, film direction, वहां भी एक बहुत बड़ा maze था. So gradually, by eliminating all that, I found my true calling. But I still have that aspect of a financial analyst within me, which is always going to be handy, and we all need it in our lives, especially today.
No, but did you think that you were stuck in a dichotomous situation where, in the world of movies, not much credence is given to specialized education like you'd had?
Mhm.
And in the world outside, people feel that if you're an actor, then you must be stupid or unpad or not aware of worldly affairs. So, how do you balance that dichotomy?
See, perceptions are again things that I don't really worry too much about. Where my professional life is concerned, my work has to speak for itself. But as far as being a financial analyst and that being something that I shouldn't let go of and it shouldn't be wasted, I still use it. In today's world, you can't be an actor at in any level. You can't be an actor who's just doing the work as an actor and बाकी सब आपके सामने आपका सब कुछ संभाल रहे. फिर आपके पास कुछ नहीं रहेगा. You have to be in any profession. You have to be somebody who does the multitasking, who is able to take care of his accounts, who is aware of more things than he's just supposed to be doing as an actor. So, given that scenario in today's world, I think I use my skills, if I have any, as a financial analyst. I use, at least try to use those skills in with whatever way possible. I am independent as far as managing my finances is concerned. And writing a book is something which requires a lot of clarity, which has also come from my education only. तो आपका वो पहलू जो है जो कहीं पीछे छुपा हुआ होता है वो आप उसे निकाल के यूज कर सकते हैं. And that is something that it's up to us. We have to draw that side of us outside and not waste that part of us. But you can still do the role of being an actor or a producer, whatever, and you can go there and be that person also, and you can be the other
But did
person
you
that.
ever have somebody say कि इतनी पढ़ाई लिखाई कर ली तो फिर फायदा क्या, एक्टर क्यों बने? Or vice
Huh.
versa.
Yes, a lot of people have said that to me, that why did you do all that if you wanted to become an actor? But though I don't see any connection there, because education has its own benefits, and being an actor doesn't mean that you don't need to be educated. In fact, एजुकेशन में सिर्फ पढ़ाई ही नहीं होती, सिर्फ नॉलेज नहीं होता है कि आप जो किताबों से गेन करते हैं. बहुत सारी ऐसी चीज मैंने सीखी है. आई हैव लर्नड बिकॉज आई लिव्ड अलोन फॉर 5 years in the US. So that is something which you can't even equate it with education. The crisis, the aspect of crisis management, aspect of seeing people for who they really are, aspect of finding your true self, finding who your true friends are. All these things which are more to do with personality development, वो आपको फिल्म इंडस्ट्री में बहुत काम आएगी, लेकिन उसका एजुकेशन के साथ कुछ नहीं लेना देना है. So I think education is, it's a very subjective topic, and I think living alone in the US was really really useful in that regard. So ये I think, I hope उन लोगों का सवाल, उनके सवालों का जवाब हो सके. But I think कुछ लोग हैं जो कभी समझेंगे नहीं, उनको लगेगा अरे यार आप एक्टर हो तो वैसे ही एक्टर होने चाहिए जो सिर्फ एक्टिंग ही करता है, कुछ और करता नहीं है.
Tell me, Tushar, now that the analyst has turned into an author, and the fact that an introvert writes publicly about his personal journey, the introvert is also a part of a very public family. तो जब आप लिखते हैं, you write about your parents or your sister or your home front, did you seek permission before you wrote everything that was behind the curtains?
That's a very good question, because I have
I
thought
don't
about
want
this.
to listen to back me after this conversation.
No, it's an amazing question, because I have asked myself also कि why I haven't taken permission from my own family. Because जिस जिनके बारे में मैंने लिखा है, it was the doctors or it was Prakash Jha ji whom I met in Tirupati, all those people I have taken permission from. But I have of course spoken
So
about
do
my
you have
family.
the घर की मुर्गी दाल बराबर syndrome?
हाँ जी?
Do you suffer from the घर की मुर्गी दाल बराबर syndrome?
No, not at all. I just felt that there was nothing really intrusive, about what I wrote regarding my family that really needed permission. And थोड़ा बहुत मैंने मतलब मस्तियां की है, मैंने मॉम के बारे में कुछ कहा है, मैंने एकता के बारे में कुछ कहा है. लेकिन I think अगर if I hadn't spoken from my heart, then the book wouldn't have any meaning. And it's recently, just
So,
1 week back, that I asked mom. I told
with all
mom.
due permissions from the author, there's one part of this which I want to talk about. I don't want to reveal everything about the book, otherwise, people would suffice to say only watch the interview and not read the book, which should be read. Tushar, you write in this about a day when you come back from home and you find something in your room and you take off at your mother. Now, this dutiful son that you've been known to be, one cannot imagine that son firing his mother for wanting to bring a feng shui expert in. Was that an explosion in hindsight, now that you have a child of your own, you could have avoided?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm standing up for myself in this situation, and like written in the book also, I was pretty justified in getting angry with mom for changing the whole face of my room. And anybody in my place, we at some point we get irritated. I know my sister is very cool in that regard. She's very liberal with my family members, and she's a great daughter. I'm not such a great son, but in this aspect, I think I was right, and mom agrees with that. But thankfully, थोड़े दिनों के बाद, मतलब जो हमारा झगड़ा था वो सुलट गया, और we didn't really take it too far, and I think that's
मैं
what.
ये सवाल इसलिए कर रही हूँ. Normally, parents अपने बच्चों से कहते हैं जब तुम्हारे बच्चे होंगे तब पता चलेगा. Now that you have a child, would you rather that Laksh be measured and tempered with his words and his interface with you? Or would you want him to be a son like Tushar Kapoor?
No, of course, I want my son
Would you
to.
want Laksh to be more like you or more like Ekta towards your family?
I think he should have the best of both. Like, that's a very diplomatic answer. But if you're asking me in relation to what I did told mom and I got angry with her, I think Lux should have a voice of his own also. He should be able to tell me that I don't want you interfering in my life. I don't want you, doing this for me. I can do it myself. and I won't even do that. I won't even get into his space and alter it, or change something that he doesn't like. I won't do that. I'm not that kind of parent at all. Not that my parents, not that mom made a, I'm not blaming her, but they're from another mindset and I'm from another mindset, which is fine. And I agree with myself more in this regard.
So
Sorry.
when you talk about mindsets, as Harshil said in his introduction of you, that you're one of
Hmm.
India's first bachelor dads who had
Yeah,
an
I think I
who
wanted to
had an
correct him. I'm
unconventional. I know. I think he was
Yeah,
trying to kind of position you in a particular
yes,
fashion. That being said, even if you do not accept that nomenclature, uh, you are positioned as one of the first public people to go out and make a life decision, which was not conventional.
yes, yes.
So, somebody who has always avoided the media glare, was that ever a modicum of concern for you? That there will be a lot of media focus on your life choice, there will be a consequential impact on your child and their private space. I think the Indian media, and especially the media in Mumbai, has been more than kind to a lot of celebrity young children, and they have worked and engaged with actors very, very respectfully. And kudos to them. But was that ever a concern for you?
Uh, I was obviously I had my own concerns regarding being sure of doing this and not worrying too much about the noise that really would follow, given my the nature of my profession. So that is I think जो आपकी लड़ाई होती है वो अपने साथ होती है. I believe that. और अगर आप अपने जो सारे questions आपके मन में आते हैं, जो आपकी doubts हैं, जो आपकी anxieties है, if you are able to work those out, then these things, like I mentioned in the book also, they become very, very incidental. They're more to do with, okay, theek hai, we'll handle these things. I'm clear. I know I want to do this. It's unconventional, but I'm doing it. I'm doing a right thing. I'm doing it with the right intention, and I'm willing to take on the responsibility myself. So then I don't really need to worry about what the rest of it is going to be like. Of course, it's easier said than done, but I had to take that stand for myself because I said I am going to go this way, and this is the way I want to start a family. So now I better be strong. So that's what I told myself. Yes.
Yeah, but then you did explore the conventional ways as well. I mean, it's a sweet irony that I'm in a position where I serve the interests of women and children in the country. And here I am talking to a gentleman about the conventional ways that he explored. The book has a mention of you conforming to your parents' request and go see somebody in a familial background to see whether you can explore the prospects of marriage. Now, we all talk
Yes.
about such exploration from a female perspective. It's interesting that your book explores it from a male gaze as to
Yes.
how equally it is uncomfortable for men when they are seated amongst 20,000 relatives and told to speak
Yes.
to a lady and make a life decision then and there. How difficult was it?
It is
Because you
difficult
talk
because
extensively about it in the book as to how you literally wanted to run away.
absolutely, absolutely. I didn't know those people. It was obviously the prospect of an arranged marriage. So I had never met them, and it was in another city, in another state, and people I had no connection with, and I had to go fly down alone because that's how it was planned. अभी तो मैं सोचता हूँ कि मैंने उसके लिए मना क्यों नहीं किया, लेकिन मैंने काफी कुछ किया अपने पेरेंट्स के लिए. Going back to your previous question, this should answer that also. And I have not been such a bad son also. But yes, once I was there, it was uncomfortable, and I don't even remember now how I really managed to go through that entire day. But it was more like, चलो अभी करना है तो कर रहे हैं और खुशी खुशी करेंगे जो करना है क्योंकि एक अच्छी चीज के लिए आए हैं. Of course, things didn't work out, and there was I mean, the frequencies didn't match, etc., etc. But that's beside the point. The point is that I did my duty, and I came back home, and I was done with it, and I was like, yeah, this one didn't work out. So I guess I can buy some time now before they ask me to do something like this again. It really gave me some more
Why
time.
why I ask this question is because normally you hear women talk about the fact that they are trying to buy time so that
Hmm.
they don't settle if it is a life
Yes,
choice that they make.
yes,
It is distinct to hear it from a man. More
yes.
so when you have to go and break the news to your parents that this is how you take a decision to have a child. How was the reaction of the family?
Surprisingly, and people might not believe it, that was the easiest part. after I actually did the IVF, after I actually began the surrogacy process, that's when I spilled the beans on my mom and I told her that this is what I have done and
So
this
you
is
left them
where.
with no option.
No, I never spoke to them about it. I never asked them. I said that this is something that I'm going to decide for myself. खुद को पहले sort out करूंगा, फिर उनको बोलूंगा. क्योंकि मेरी खुद की even when I came into movies, I guess living abroad, living alone is something that makes you like that. You know that you have to start your job on your own. It has to be your own. It has to be something you want. It has to be your struggle. It has to be everything has to be yours. It's a very individualistic kind of thinking. And maybe in this regard, I was very very clear that ये मेरी खुद की चीज है जो मैं कर रहा हूँ और मैं इनको इन्फॉर्म करूंगा, इनसे पूछूंगा. I will give them the respect as parents, but it has to be after I have really taken the plunge, which I did. And the family was they were amazingly cool. They were like, you're old enough, you're going to be 40 next year, you're old enough to take your own decisions. We only want to warn you that we can be grandparents. We cannot be parents. We're not that young. We're not going to be able to just like, take care of this department for you the way a parent needs to. So if you're aware of that responsibility, if you're aware that you are the father here and you have to take that extra mile to make this work out for you, we're cool with it. That's all we want to tell you. Actually, this was mom. Dad didn't even know. Then I told her, don't tell him now. I'll tell him after a month or so. Let me take it step by step. But like all moms, they can't keep anything away from their husband. She has gone and told him. She said, I couldn't keep it within me. It was too much to hold inside my heart. So I had to tell him, and he was cool with it too. He said, ठीक है ना, इसको जो चाहिए अभी ये मतलब खुशी खुशी करे. I mean, it's better he rather do it this way than get into something that is just for the sake of conforming to society. So he was quite progressive about it, and I was amazed by that. So I was happy that was another hurdle off my way.
So, how non conforming is this entire situation, Tushar? Because normally one presumes and articulates so the fact that the desire to need or want a child is a female desire, that men are
Mhm,
not inclined towards this particular desire to have a baby.
mhm.
Your story, in fact, makes it such a dissimilar position. Why want a child? It's supposed to be a female trait.
Mm. I hope I have broken some stereotypes with this, by making this choice for myself and doing it, because I think maternal instincts भी होते हैं, paternal instincts भी होते हैं. These are universal emotions that men and women both have, and maybe we see in our society or societies and all over the world, we see them playing certain stereotypical roles, and it's kind of understood. But deep down, हम सब human beings हैं. We all need the same things. We all crave for a child. We all crave to nurture a child. And I began to get aware about those instincts within me. Don't laugh, but through the affection I had for my pet, who was also like a child for me at that point of time. And then I used to see other kids, and I used to feel fondly for so many other children, my friends' children, etc. And I realized that, okay, hey, I'm ready to take on this responsibility. I'm ready to be a father. लेकिन अब वो कैसे
Ready to
होगा?
commit to a partner, but you're ready to commit to a child.
Yes,
Which is
yes.
what brings me to the next question, Tushar,
Mhm.
is that there have been conversations before that women feel the compulsion to enter into matrimony because they have a compelling desire to have a child, so
Mhm.
that there is social acceptability of their choice.
Yes.
The fact that you make this choice, Tushar, also throws up a question. Do men also who desire to set up a family, to have a child, at times feel compelled? Like you said, you went and looked at an arranged marriage prospect. Do you think that's as much a compulsion for men and doesn't get spoken of?
I don't think you can generalize really whether or not men have it easier and women have it harder, or women have it easier, men have it harder. It's a very individual situation, and each person I think will have his or her own challenges. Of course, it's obviously the case that women will worry a little more because the way our society really reacts to certain things, and becoming a single mom is not such an easy thing the way I did it, especially for a girl, in the sense that a guy doing it still, I think, seems like it would be a little more accepted, while a woman doing it might find it a little more tougher to break the societal norms and the societal
Do you
prejudices. But I met a single mom before I took the step. I met a single mom who had started a family through IVF and surrogacy legally, and she lives in Mumbai, South Mumbai. And Prakash ji actually introduced me to her on the way back from Tirupati. I spoke to them on the phone, and she said, "Beta," her mom, in fact, so the child's grandmother told me, "This is possible. If you are sure about it, come back to Mumbai, meet us." And I met them, and they are leading a normal life. And she's a single mom, and she's doing a fab job. And so that really, made things very, very clear that okay, this is something that is something that I have to make a decision for myself. This is something that I have to really, really find an inner voice with. And the rest are just, मतलब कि ये कहेंगे या वो कहेंगे, ये सोचेंगे, वो सोचेंगे, वो बाद में की चीज है, लेकिन आपको खुद क्लियर होना है. ये एक सिंगल मॉम है जिन्होंने ये किया है, and she is living in our society happily accepted. Just shows how brilliant our country is. Just shows how, we might feel that we are in a very, very conservative country, which is true, but at the same time we are a society we are a race which is very, very liberal. We are a loving, accepting, a group of people that really accepts all kinds of other people also, which is so beautiful, and that was clearly shown when I announced my child.
so when you talk about this life choice, and I'm again talking from a male perspective, or for that matter, a female perspective, because you spoke about the single mother from South Mumbai.
Yes.
Is it a life choice only if it can be afforded by the individual?
Eh, that is, yes, for sure. It is not a very, very it's not as reasonable as many things are in life, but then there are ways and means to get these things done in a reasonable manner also. We have all kinds of options. I went to a hospital probably where, it was probably a little different than many other people, for than it is for many other people. But I know that there are options for many other people also. It's not that it's like one size fits all, or that, only a certain kind of people or a certain socioeconomic demographic will be able to do it. I don't believe that. In fact, I can tell you, in my own house, in the team of people that work for me, with me, I like to address them that way. There is an individual who is from a very, very different socioeconomic background, but he's a married man, but he's had two kids through IVF and surrogacy. And that's amazing. So we have the facilities, we have the know-how in our country, and बहुत सारी चीजें possible है. हमें बस अंडर एस्टिमेट नहीं करना चाहिए जो हमारे पास है, भारत देश में जो हमारे पास है उसे अंडर एस्टिमेट नहीं करना चाहिए. And I myself was seeking opportunity, thinking that maybe I'll have to go abroad to do this. And someone told me about some fertility center in Denver, and that they do it there, and it's very, very, it's legal and blah blah blah, and you have to go abroad. Nothing doing. It's right here under your nose. You just have to meet the right people. There is a time and place for everything, and if it comes to you at the right time, go for it.
Tell me, Tushar, you speak about Prakash ji and a
Gee.
very heavy influence that he had on this particular life choice. Can you describe your association or the impact that he had on this decision of yours?
Well, I didn't really know him very well when we met on the flight. He's like, you can call
Do
him a
you have
colleague
to
from the.
describe to everybody watching us right now, while keeping in consideration the fact that they need to read the book?
Yes, 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 yes. So
और details to
I
be
would,
संक्षेप में बताइए.
yes, I won't give you the story as to how we met, etc., etc. But he was just somebody who enlightened me about the fact that he's a single parent, and he has adopted a girl child, and he introduced me to this family where there's a single mom. So it was a chance meeting, and I've called that chapter "Divine Intervention," if I can reveal that here, because it was actually on the way back from Tirupati when we carpooled, and this idea was discussed. And pure coincidence, you could call it destiny, or you can call it the hand of God, that something clicked about this suggestion that he made. Actually, it was only a suggestion. It wasn't really an influence. I wouldn't call it an influence or some kind of thing that he was really trying to tell me to do, or he was kind of guiding me, etc., etc. It was just he spoke about it in conversation, and he suggested it. And I took it forward in Mumbai. I met him a couple of times, but I really took it forward and took my time, of course, and and there you go, things worked out for me. So he's somebody whom I've really not really had too many meetings with. I don't know him very well, but he's had such a big role to play in my life as a single father, which is God sent, I guess. Yeah.
So you think that, like you said, divine intervention is the name of the chapter. Laksh
Yes.
is divine intervention and its manifestation.
For sure. If that's Ekta's words, I think, as you said, my family is quite religious. Ekta ही खुद बोलती है, I know it, he's your gift from God. So I'd like to believe that, because he's obviously हर माँ बाप के लिए उनका बच्चा gift from God ही होता है. लेकिन यहाँ मत थोड़ा मतलब it was a very unconventional situation, and it seemed like that literally, though. Yes, there's miles to go before I can say that, I'm doing a good job. So I need God's hand in many ways at many other points in the future. Let's not speak
I'm,
so soon.
I'm going to dip into a very uncomfortable area now. It's
Okay.
how you are managing Laksh's upbringing.
Yes, yes.
There is a sense, let's say, when a child like Lakshya is socially engaging with other children and families, he sees his friends and their mothers engage, let's say, in a birthday party or in a get together. This is not a child, this is a very amiable, blessed child. I've had the privilege of knowing this baby for as long as he's walked
I
the earth.
know.
Have you
Yes.
ever had a conversation where he feels the need for a mother, or he
Uh,
responds to the kid's mother?
I have been on the lookout for this because I know it's a very sensitive area, and the obvious question is regarding the structure of my family, him and me, just the two of us. So, of course, like any other child, also, I think he would have had some questions, which is what I was thinking all along the way. However, I think the fact that, I have probably spoken to him very honestly from the very beginning through books. I've read him books about Krishna. I've read him books about, all kinds of families, and where, it's not a very typical, stereotypical, or a very conventional situation. And it's still a very normal, happy family, which is there in our, in our culture, in so much literature, in life outside in general. We see all kinds of families. That is something I probably tried to instill in him, which is why he hasn't really asked me directly, or he hasn't felt the urge to ask me. In fact, there are times when I ask his didi also कि क्या लक्ष्य ऐसा पूछता है क्या वो. There was once when a friend had asked him, I think 2-3 times, when a friend of his close friend used to keep asking him, where is, how come there's just a dad here, etc., etc. And which is why he came and repeated that to his didi. So when I asked Didi ki, does Laksh ask this question? So she said that no, he doesn't ask me this question. But then after a few months, she remembered that I had asked her, and she told me that, last night he asked me this question. So I said that, what do you say? I said, so she said that I told him that your bua is like your mom, your dadi is like your mom, your dad is he loves you so much, and that's fine, that's enough, and that is great, and that's a complete family. So
But you're ready for
thereafter,
the
he's
complications, if any, if it follows.
of course, and I think the only way out is to make it a very open conversation, to make it a very honest conversation, and to make it very comfortable for the child, so that he's okay with it because you're okay with it. I think they are reflections of us. I feel that sometimes what we are going through, is reflected on them. I mean, that's something that I've read also. So I'll try my best to make it easy and make it very understandable for him. But there's only so much that a parent can also do. And so I'll be very realistic, and I'll say that हमारी लड़ाई भी एक हद तक ही, उसके बाद उनको अपनी लड़ाई खुद लड़नी होगी. So I want to leave that little room for him to struggle also, which is good for his upbringing. I don't want to make it so cushy also. There's no fun in life if you have it all so protected. But yes,
Do you think, do you
with this
think that
sensitive topic, yeah.
it's not been cushy with a new member in the house? I see Laksh and Ravi get along with like a house on fire. So from one baby who had the entire family concentrate on that one baby, now there's another one. So
You hit
what
the
is
nail
that?
on the head. Yeah, initially he was like feeling very betrayed. I'll be very honest, and he was obviously used to being like the only child, and as you would say, ladla in the family, blah blah blah. And then suddenly this new member comes in, and he, I think, started getting resentful from the very first day. So and more so because his bua, who's not his mother, but who's like his mom, he didn't want to share her. I think that is where I think the point of contention came about, is because his bua, who gave him so much affection, now had to divide her affection, had to share her affection. So I've उस सिचुएशन को भी हमने संभालने की कोशिश की, लेकिन वापस आ ही जाती है ये फीलिंग्स. ही इज वेरी प्रोटेक्टिव टुवर्ड्स रवि. ही इज वेरी he loves him when he's playing with him and he wants to share his toys with him. But I think when the grandparents are there, or if everyone is together, then obviously, he's a sensitive, he's a perceptive, and he's a sharp child. He's going to start feeling a little bit, he's going to start feeling, okay, now I'm not the only one here. I'm maybe not the most important one here. So that doubt, that conflict does come up. And I think he'll need some more time to really get over it. Yeah. But it's okay. Chalo, deal with it. That's my answer to him as a parent.
Well, you actually do complicate a lot of learnings in Laksh's life. And I'm saying this with an absolute, resolute position, because I see you do all kinds of learning methodologies with Laksh. The analyst and the academic in you explores various ways of enhancing your child's cognitive skills. Do you tend to overdo that as a parent? Because you want the best for him, you're teaching him almost everything. You don't let the child draw in peace. You're trying to teach him everything every time.
I was on the verge of doing that, and when I was doing the online schooling, of course, other than that, I'm not really over interfering or anything. And now, so he's grown up, so I've let go because I need my afternoon naps back if I'm on a holiday. So I've really let go, and I like to sit, have my coffee, and watch him play. And I'm completely fine not getting involved. But yeah, there was a time when I started doing the task in the sense for myself, not even for him. I was trying to get him to do it because it's part of the online homeschooling, etc. एंड करते करते मैं अपने परफेक्शन, अपने ही ओसीडी में फंस जाता था और होता कि मुझे अच्छी तरह करना है. आप देख रहे हो ना, like I used to become like that with him. So I'm a faulty parent. I know that, but then I guess the best part is that I used to retreat. I used to take a step back every time I felt that, okay, I'm getting into space and this is not something I should be doing. At the end of it all, I think we had a great time. So whether or not I took center stage and I hogged the limelight and I didn't let him learn, or whether I did, at the end of it all, we had a great time doing those experiments. We had a great time doing all the schooling, and today he really values those moments he had with me. So that's good. Yeah, I have my flaws, I have my good and my bad, and I'm learning every day. I watch you. I'm learning so much from you about multitasking. I follow you on social media, and I see you playing these diverse roles so amazingly, and especially the role of a parent, which is also a very, very consuming one, with all the pressure that we have in our professions. So
So
I
you
guess
talk about
that's
the invisible enemy and the lockdown is one of the chapters.
yes.
And you think that the lockdown then became a blessing for you because you ended up spending a lot more time than you had envisaged with your child, and that child also had so much time with the family united under one roof.
Honestly, I'll be a little naughty here. I said the lockdown has never cannot be a blessing for anybody, because it'll be too selfish if I say that. I think there's so much awareness today as to, because there's so much media, we know how things affect everyone, not just our own life, and our little problems, our few inconveniences are no comparison to what others are going through. So I won't say that it's a blessing. It's definitely not a blessing, but I'll say it's a blessing because I got 2 more chapters to write in this book. I was actually negotiating with my publisher pre-lockdown, pre-COVID, and it was about my role as a single parent, blah blah blah. And then lockdown हो गया और फिर हमारा contract delay हो गया, और फिर जब सब कुछ शुरू हुआ तो obviously we were dealing with all these challenges. So if I was releasing a book now, I mean, obviously it would be more interesting to have something about how did I deal with parenting in this lockdown. So those 2 chapters have happened because of the lockdown. Other than that, there's no blessing. Yes, of course, I got time to spend with my son also, but I used to do that anyways. I mean, वो तो आपको मतलब निकालना
Because
ही
a
पड़ता है
lot of
आपको.
families, and especially working professionals, said that I never had time for my family members and people I loved. And
Mhm.
yes, there was, and you're absolutely right that this has been a challenging time, especially for families that cannot afford the luxury of not that don't live uncomfortable, cushy jobs, or for that matter, have big fat salary checks. But Tushar, tell me, when you talk about the invisible enemy, you have an epidemic that you're dealing with, you have a virus that is shutting down the world, you have a child in a complicated setup where there's a new baby, which means that there is a lot of psychological pressure for that child. There is
Yes,
a lot
yes.
of newness that child has to adopt to. How much, as a parent, are you open to providing that counseling and that support to your child through an expert?
Uh, yes, of course, I'm very open to it. In the future, if I ever need that, to go take that step and, get into that zone of really speaking to an expert, if there is something that really feels like is destabilizing in some way. But, my answer to the question about the fact that we're being challenged in the lockdown is the fact that the basic answer जो मैंने ढूंढा और मैंने अपने अंदर पाया, maybe thanks to my Buddhist practice, is simplicity. आपके सवालों का जवाब हमेशा सिंप्लिसिटी में ही है. अगर आपको लग रहा है कि अब सब कुछ घर पे हो रहा है, so the way I used to compartmentalize my day before the lockdown, I started following the same pattern. And you realize that, if you just think simply, you can do all those things just a little bit with a little bit of adjustment. तो जो हम 80s में क्या करते थे ना, वो हमारा लाइफ लॉकडाउन में ही हुआ करता था बच्चों के साथ. बच्चों के पास प्ले एरियाज इतने होते नहीं थे. हर हफ्ते बर्थडे पार्टीज होती नहीं थी. हम लोग बिल्डिंग में ही खेला करते थे. हम लोग साकली, खो खो, क्रिकेट, फुटबॉल और हम लोग हाइड एंड सीक ही खेला करते थे. सो माय होल थिंग वाज दैट व्हाई नॉट गो बैक टू दैट मॉडल. We are in lockdown, but we have the outdoor space in the building downstairs or in the compound. Or when the lockdown was being eased out, we could go to parks also. So my whole thing was that the child can still lead a normal life, provided you're able to be a little more flexible, a little more adjusting, and सब कुछ हो जाता है. मेरे हिसाब से सब कुछ हो जाता है. थोड़ा बस आपको मतलब we have to be able to be simple, and I think that is the hardest thing to do, but that is the most beautiful thing to do also, is to become simple.
So, Tushar, coming towards the end, which is the epilogue, you write about the fact, and with your permission, I'll read the first sentence, that my journey to becoming a father has raised several questions which I've tried to address on various media platforms, though the message has often been lost in translation due to frivolous Bollywood interviews. Do you think this book answers your emotional journey in the process of having your child and sets the
I
records?
To a great extent, yes, it does. To a great extent, of course, there are. I mean, we as human beings, there's so much that happens, in the depths of your being, that you can't really contain it in a book. And maybe there are more volumes that need to be out in the next few years, and maybe I'll have more to talk about or write about. But for now, people might like my book, people might disagree with it, but I did my best, and it's as written to the best of my abilities. I hope that really resonates with people. I hope that connects with people. I'm so happy that you have really gone into the depths of this book. It just shows that you have connected with it to some degree. Yes. So, like yourself, I hope people enjoyed equally and at least
But the
understand
book,
me.
but the book is dedicated to all single dads and moms. It's not
Yeah.
dedicated to parents like me. So, what can a parent who is raising a child with a partner be privileged to learn from this book?
Well, I have mentioned also in the book, though it's dedicated to single moms and dad, it is for every parent, because I've mentioned also in the book that I have it harder in no way than most other parents. We all have it hard. So it's not, someone tells me that, okay, how do you do it yourself? How do you do it alone? I said, hello, it's not any harder for me. It's hard for every parent who wants to be somewhat a hands-on parent. There are families where, you know, the husband or the wife is working and the other parent is at home. So that is a single parent setup at the end of the day. There are families where both parents are working and they still make time for the child. Look at those challenges. तो ये बेटर या वर्स बिल्कुल नहीं होता मेरे लिए जैसा ही वैसा ही है जैसा कि बाकियों के लिए है. So this book is for everybody. It's a universal emotion. It's a universal situation wherein we all, I think life is about finding answers to the solution, answers to the questions that keep cropping up. It's about accepting the imperfections. It's about really dealing with all the curveballs that are waiting for us at every now and then. So it's not just about the situation that I was in. as a parent, or that how I am doing it and how different or how unique it is or how impressive it is. It's just about my journey. And I'm sure that we all have a struggle. So I hope it connects to each one of us. Yeah.
So it's been a wondrous journey thus far, Tushar, and my best wishes that it be a fruitful journey beyond this conversation. I'm extremely blessed to know both these children, Laksh and Ravi. I see Laksh growing up to be a very confident young man, very balanced, very amiable, like I said, and very generous, irrespective of the little tiff he has with adjusting to this new child in the family. I've seen him to be very giving and loving. So that's a compliment to you as a parent.
Thank you.
My best wishes for this book,
But
Tushar, and
before
many
you
more
go,
that are.
before you
Yes.
go, I'll have one question for you, and you can answer to me in person later on. But
No, no, I'll
since
answer
you thought,
now.
yeah,
I'm not.
since you
I'm not known to avoid answers.
okay, since I'm going to ask you privately that since you've always thought of me as a very quiet, very introverted, very docile, very mild person, given that we've spoken for such a long time and spoken so with having so much fun and so insightfully, thank you so much. At the end of the day, after we finish this interview, someday please tell me who's a better speaker, me or my sister. Since you know her better than me, then you have to answer this question and very unbiasedly.
I now see where Laksh gets his competitive spirit against his sibling from.
No, I'm not competitive with her at all. No.
I think that just like your son is a compliment to your value system and your
Hmm.
upbringing, both for Shobhaji and Jituji, it is a huge compliment as a parent to have a legend in the family and yet have two children who've carved out a niche for themselves distinctly in society. You've made difficult life choices, but you've made it sound so easy. I think it is extremely harsh, the criticism that is many a times heaped upon you and your sibling, but you've handled that criticism with grace. I will only say this, that I've had the privilege of knowing both of you, more so Ekta from a personal perspective, and I was very diligent to make sure that as long as she was my boss, I never crossed the line with her professionally. I never called her a friend. I always called her as a boss, called upon her so. But I think that it has been tough. You've been brought into the world not by your own choice. You were born to a legend not by your own choice, but you have served that family purpose well. So, my compliments to you and your sister. And Tushar, never think I'll pick your sister and not you, because both of you are part of a family that is most cherished by me and my loved ones.
I know that. Thank you so much.
But best wishes, compliments, and congratulations on the book, The Bachelor Dad, ladies and gentlemen. Courtesy Penguin and Crossword.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.